United Mag podcast, your Newcastle United podcast, hosted by three lifelong Newcastle United fans. Myself, D-Man, with my co-hosts Jefferson and AC. You guys all right?
What's up?
What you saying, rude boy?
Man's ready, boy.
Happy to be back once again.
Yeah? On the back of three lovely points, but we'll get into that. But before we start, with the usual, like, comment, subscribe. If you listen on the audio, follow us on the Apple and Spotify. Yeah, man. I think we're all generally happy going into the international break, relatively happy. Yeah, can't have it all, but positive vibes on that. Positive vibes. We're gonna review the big game, the Newcastle versus Spurs game, which finished Newcastle 2, Spurs 1. Going to talk about we have to talk about the transfer deadline day, and a few other things. Obviously, England coming up. What's the brother's name? The new coach, Carsley.
Lee
Carsley, yeah.
Picked his first squad and that, so we could talk a bit like that. But yeah, a lot to get into. So let's start with the main event. Live from St. James's Park, Sunday afternoon kickoff. I think it was 1:30
p.m. Super Sunday, Sky Sports.
That's right. Eddie Howe's boys take on Big Ange Postecoglou's men. We had the preview with Darren T. So big up Darren T, the Spurs fan. We all predicted the draw. I think we all predicted the draw. Some said 2-2, some said 1-1.
Yeah, I predicted 2-2.
Yes, so did I. And I think Jefferson said 1-1.
Desmond.
But yeah, I think it was 2-2 as well.
I was 1-1.
1-1. Okay. So it finished 2-1 to Newcastle. So, AC, general thoughts on the game? Happy?
Yeah, I think in one side of me, it's almost like Jekyll and Hyde. The Jekyll side of myself is just like, yeah, happy with that. It's another win. We now got 7 points out of 9 to start the season. Like on paper, on the stats of the points and also the goal difference, it's not too bad. It's good. But then the Hyde side of myself, to this Jekyll and Hyde split personality, it was weird because like we were winning and we won that game at the end when the whistle was blown. I wasn't happy though. It was really weird. I didn't feel completely happy, and I felt like maybe because the performance still wasn't good, and I felt like we were lucky once again a little bit. And there might have been some flourishes of some positives in that game, and then we're going to go through some of those players who did have some good moments in that game. But when I know I'm skipping a bit forward to like some of the details of that game, but when Burn gifted them that own goal, now I was just like,
that was a hell of a finish, by the way.
Calamity Jake, bro. Anyway, yeah. BFG.
Yeah, I just felt like Pope could have done much better there. It was really weird. We were just, I don't know what was going on with our team. Sometimes we just look a bit chaotic.
Was it you lot that I said? I don't know if it was you in the group chat or it was said it to Curtis. At half time, I said by 55 minutes they're going to equalize, and I think they scored in the 56th minute.
You said it. You said it in our group. Yeah, I saw your message, and it was one of the ones where you messaged during the game. And I'm just like, nah, I can't reply to that right now. It's going to upset me. And then they come in 56 minutes. I was like, this guy. I was like, I hope you're playing Super 6, man, because you're getting predictions right, left, right, and center.
You're gonna put Uri Geller out of business, bro. You're gonna be bending forks and spoons.
Lottery tickets next up, boy. Lottery win.
Play Super Sunday and then you can split 3 ways. Hey.
Balling. But Jefferson, what was your overall thoughts on it though?
Do we just have to keep to positives or? I just, you know what I mean?
All right. If you've got any positives, just let us have them. Like, let's start with that.
Unleashed. Here we go.
We won the game. We got 3 points. Isak broke his duck, innit? Obviously nice to see Barnes start and Barnes score. Do you know what I mean? We were all crying, particularly UAC,
Great goal, man. Great goal.
We were crying out for him to start, but I think
said he has to start. Told you.
On it. Yeah,
told you.
AC was on it, and yeah, to be fair, like backs against the wall stuff, somehow it's a jammy dodger victory. Like we managed to pull it out of the bag. Home support, obviously, comes in handy there. But listen, I'm not going to reel through some numbers, but if I just tell you, based off some stats I've got here, we didn't have as much possession. We lost the ball more in our defensive half, the middle third. We lost more duels. We didn't win as many aerial duels. We didn't have as many successful dribbles. We wasn't offside as much, and yeah, we had less corners. So we were dominated in every single stat at home. And you're thinking, who's the home side? Was we actually playing at home?
It looked like an away game, didn't it?
Can I give some more positives?
It looked like an away game.
You lot are going in. Can I just give a couple more positives in it from my point of view? So, first of all, like I said, we won the game, right? And that's all that matters. Yeah. When all said and done, we won the game. We scored. Tottenham didn't score. We scored all the goals in the match, right? Now, I'm not really big on stats, yeah. But Tottenham had 20 shots on goal. We had something like 9, right? But our XG was higher than theirs, so we had the better opportunities than they did, right? Now, it's another game where we haven't performed well, but we've defended pretty solidly and we've got the 3 points, right? And we haven't lost. So to not play well and get a 3 points, arguably, it's a sign of a good team as long as you improve it as the season goes along, right? I'd rather start, say badly in inverted commas and improve as the season goes, than start like a house on fire and then start to deteriorate as the season goes along. So whether it's sustainable, only time will tell. But like I said, Isak broke his duck. Barnes was lively, got his goal as well, good finish. And again, we started off brightly for 15 minutes. I think we started very well. It's not until that unfortunate incident with the fourth official, when they had to take a break for 5 minutes, I think that's when the momentum swung and Spurs was all over us kind of thing, whatever. Those are the main positives.
Tino did all right. I thought Tino, Dan Burn, and particularly Krafth actually surprised me because he wasn't as good the previous 2 games, and I was worried about Krafth, but he actually did quite well. But I think Dan Burn's doing so, apart from the goal, obviously, which I really blame Pope, to be honest with you.
That's
Pope's
fault.
That's on Pope, really. But I think Burn's been excelling at centre back.
So much better than left back, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so let's carry on with I'm not going to call them negatives, the not so good stuff, right? Because
Return of Tonali as well. Sorry, I forgot. Return of Tonali.
And he actually I don't say he changed the game, but he influenced it quite heavily as well.
But he didn't start.
Oh, one more. Actually, there is a positive. There is a positive. I was on Joe Linton that game, right?
He was shocking.
He was
he was garbage.
He's man of the match though.
But that's that bit there
where he spun Madison.
And then the pass. That's the bits of quality we've been crying out for from midfield. So we'll talk about how they're in 6s and 7s later. But that pass,
speaking of that pass, I don't think there was a clip sample on X, right? And they said the part that was actually made by Tonali because he actually dragged him out of position to allow the space for Joe Linton to play that pass through, which is very clever play. So big up to Tonali for that as well. But like I said, it's good.
Though, that bit with Joe Linton, I don't care what anyone says. Luckily, Joe Linton was in possession. Luckily, Tonali was on the pitch instead of Longstaff, because I guarantee you, if that was Longstaff in that position where the man's backing him up, because he's not going to back himself to spin him out. Tell me what Longstaff's going to do. He's going to pass it backwards or to the side. Joe Linton backed himself a foot. Boy, let me try to turn my man. Once he opened it up, he played the ball.
And credit to Murphy as well, because I'm telling you that Murphy had a bad 10-15 minutes when he first come on, right? But credit to him for actually squaring that ball, because I guarantee you, if that's Miggy, he's shooting and he's missing. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I have to admit, though, I was so nervous because for me, though, I think he should have passed it probably a yard or 2 earlier, and he didn't. And I was like, you're not going to pass it.
You know why? I think it was clever because he sat the keeper down. Had he passed it a bit earlier, that gives Vicario still on his feet. He can get across and save it. I think he sat him down and then passed it at the right time. I think credit to him for that.
Details. I didn't realize that, actually. I didn't
And
really watch
earlier,
that.
Isak could have. To be
I was
honest
gonna
with you,
say,
there's two talking points there. Number one, Isak should have squared it. I
yeah,
understand he was desperate for a goal. I understand it, but Barnes had a tap in. Bless him. He ran
yes,
20 yards or whatever to get in the box. Didn't get the ball. But the challenge on him at first, the first replay, it looks a good challenge. But I've
challenge. But
seen a
with the
few
replay,
still images, and
the
that's a
penalty,
pen. That's
that is
actually
a
a
penalty.
penalty. We should have had a penalty there.
Yeah, well, all's well that ends well. But like you said, like obviously we start off well, and then like we've done in every single game that we played, we start well for a few minutes, and then we just go flat, right? So I know Eddie Howe made some comments after the game about he recognized not that we're lucky, but there's a lot of stuff we need to improve on. Sloppy in possession, we don't look fit enough at the moment, so we still need to build up fitness, and we have to accept that the likes of Bruno and Gordon haven't had a preseason. Tonali's not match fit. So, and also the preseason was kind of a bit of a mess as well. Going to Australia at the end of the season, and then going to Germany, and going to what I mean, it was a bit haphazard. So I don't think it was the best. It was the best. So
you got to think at that particular time when the preseason actually kicked off and we were in Japan. Bruno had to fly from Brazil to Japan, which was like 24 hours or something crazy. So it just wasn't quite convenient, and I do wonder next time do preseason in Europe or something. But I get it though; it's good for the fan base to be in Japan,
commercially as well, isn't it? So, all right. So taking with the game itself, with the goals and stuff. So obviously we take the lead through Harvey Barnes, right? Against the run of play, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think so.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
And it pretty much a basic lead up, because it comes from a throw in. Lloyd Kelly goes down the left hand side and puts the ball across, and very good finish from Harvey Barnes. Yeah, to open up his body to slot it in like that. Very good finish. Now, remember I said it, I think we were doing earlier on in the season, before an early episode, I said Harvey Barnes scoring at the end of last season, similar to what Gordon did the season before. This could be Harvey Barnes' little season where he has a Gordon season.
This is Harvey Barnes season. I am feeling it. I am feeling it. This guy has got a point to prove, and he's looking good. And what was so good about that goal is what I think we're missing sometimes. It's just players hitting it with the first touch. We don't do that enough. I think most of the time, all our players take one too many touches. But that was a really good, just clean execution. Like, no one's saving that. I don't care who you are. The speed that it moved at, great goal. And obviously, he went in to do celebration, the Archer.
Yeah, Salah tried copying, but anyway, that's another story. but two things on that. First of all, it was good to see Isak and Barnes switching position, interchanging positions throughout the game. And obviously, Barnes found himself central to get the goal, because Isak had drifted off and stuff. I thought that was quite interesting. Maybe credit to Eddie Howe for that. But also, my friend Curtis, my best friend Curtis, obviously Newcastle fan, he was saying from time ago, he said, this season you're going to see that Harvey Barnes is better than Anthony Gordon. Like, he's basically going to bench Anthony Gordon because he's a better finisher. He's more direct. He said he's a better player than Anthony Gordon. So he said, watch this space. So, and he's sticking by what he said. So it's going to be interesting to see.
That's a very interesting statement, because I've been thinking about this, and to be honest, Barnes is a very good finisher. Like, his finishes are tidy. If you check his track record of his goals he done for Newcastle alone, let's not even think about Leicester, just Newcastle. He's always got nice, tidy finishes where it's always like directly in the corner, near post.
The one that he put wide as well. Forget the chance he had yesterday when he just put it just wide. When Gordon's cut through, played it out wide to him, because it come from a long ball from Pope. Gordon's controlled it, cut inside, played it out wide to Barnes. He's cut inside, he's put it just wide. I thought,
not enough bend on it.
I thought that was going in.
That's an interesting. So we can keep an eye and close on this, because Gordon's still there though, and he hasn't kicked into gear yet. I feel like he's still in second gear at the moment. But
I think between the two of them, I think Gordon's clearly got a higher ceiling, because I think he's a couple of years younger, isn't he? If I'm correct, isn't Barnes 26?
I'm not sure, but I think he's
I think
older than Gordon.
Sounds about right.
Gordon's 22, I think.
That's crazy.
I
Gordon's so
think
young.
so.
Though.
I think the difference between the two is, I think you noticed as well. I don't know if you noticed that chance that Barnes had at the start of the game. If he had if he had Gordon's pace, he was through in on goal. Dragusin just catches him.
Yeah.
And I think with Gordon, so the difference between the two, there's some clear differences. Number one, Barnes is a better finisher, and he's got a left foot and a right foot that arguably as deadly as each other. For example, the goal against, was it Luton, the 4-4 draw? He scored on his left foot. Obviously,
well.
he's a seasoned finisher in the Premier League. I think the year Leicester went down, he got 13 league goals, which is really impressive for a winger. But I think the thing with Anthony Gordon is he can actually beat a man, bundles of pace, trickery. So he can create opportunities for himself. I think Barnes kind of needs, if you see a lot of Barnes goals, particularly for Leicester, he needs the 1-2. He makes the run inside, or he'll cut it outside to whip it in. So I think that's the difference between the two. I think Gordon can create his own opportunities, but I think there's also more to come from Gordon. I think he's got more levels to go, whereas I think Barnes is still moving up, but I give it a couple of years. We're starting to see the best of Harvey Barnes, which I think is a good problem for us to have, for sure.
100%. So when obviously we get the goal, we go 1-0 up. Were you expecting us to push on from there? Obviously we scored against the run of play, but did you think that was going to give us the impetus to push on, maybe get another, and put the game to bed?
No, because we predicted this, all of us. We predicted how the game went, with the exception of when you said they were going to equalize, which you said on the day. We all said 15 minutes, intense start, layoff, other team comes into the game, no changes at halftime, change at 60 minutes, waits for the impact. We may get away with it. And that's how it played out. So it's exactly the same. I didn't deviate from that thought process in the slightest. I didn't think we were going to get dominated as much as we did.
It was embarrassing. Which
is pretty poor, but I didn't see us like coming back at all. And there could be many, many reasons there hasn't been sort of a more physical response from the players. I think they're just smashed. I think this intense style is not working anymore. And I think we're seeing the limits of Eddie Howe as a coach. He needs to find a plan B. If he wants to stay in this job, we need to get better at keeping the ball. And
why can't we keep the ball?
We're just too heavily reliant on our running style. This game, it seemed, I'm not saying it's a tactic. I just think we got pushed back, but it felt like we were camped at the back, waiting to hit him on the break with the pace. Yeah. And it feels like that's how we've been addressing a lot of games this season. So you can't really play football within 5 yards from your box. But there is a similarity. This is another. We'll get into it in a moment when we're dealing with the cult of Howe. I don't think we've progressed from Steve Bruce. We've gone backwards again. Because with Steve Bruce as manager, we were always camped next to our box. Yeah. And often it was Almiron and St. Maximan having to run 60, 70 yards to get to the goal. Right?
Out Steve, so you can't finish.
It's the same. The only difference is we were playing hoofball to Joe Linton. Gosh. That's the only difference. So arguably, in terms of visually what you can see, we've clearly regressed as a team. And whether people like it or not, it is very similar to sort of that Steve Bruce times. We've just got better quality of players.
Okay, so all right. Obviously with the equalizer, right? So obviously, like I said, we get to halftime, no changes. They're putting on the pressure. You can see the goals coming, right? So after that, we said it's Nick Pope's fault, right? How poor was he? I mean, he should have caught that ball, right? That shot from what's his name, Madison. He should have caught it, right? Or at least parried it out further, because it's like he got caught in two minds, whether to catch it or to parry it, and he did neither. And obviously Johnson's there to put the rebound, and then obviously Calamity, that burn is a bit awkward trying to clear it.
Thing is, when we're talking about this on the pod with Darren, and we spoke about Johnson, we're talking about Johnson versus Murphy. But as soon as Johnson commented, I kind of knew this was going to happen. I know you said in the text about 55 minutes, and I was like, this guy, I know it's going to happen, because Johnson did become a threat. And going back to that shot, like, it's such a failure. I have to say it, in plain sight. Like, you literally push the ball into Johnson's direction, like on a plate. On a plate. But what annoys me though is that we kind of knew that Ange was going to make a change at halftime. I kind of knew it. It was like, yeah, this is going to come. And it's that, once again, it's that slow reaction from our manager who just didn't want to do anything. It's like, oh, we're getting peppered right now. Like, it is full court pressure. We are struggling for oxygen in our own half at home. And nothing's being done.
Can I ask you something, AC? When did Brennan Johnson come on? Just out of interest.
Half time, innit?
Half time.
Okay. No, I'm just asking. Like, okay.
Okay. Half time.
Proactive substitution.
When that happened, we started getting peppered. Immediately, I was like, Tonali needs to come on. Like, we need something different in here because we have to do something. And obviously, it's that classic thing, we concede, and then it's like change is going to come later. But honestly, I know it's easy for me to say this now, but at the same time, in the preview, I did say we should have started Tonali because it would have made a difference. And the fact is that we would have got a lot more out of Tonali if he played just for 60 minutes and then got subbed and then bring on Longstaff. Because at least we can try to control the ball, because we need people. And not just that, this whole formation, you can't really control football with this formation. You got 3 people in midfield. And if you got Longstaff, technically you're playing with 2 in midfield. Am I lying though?
Yeah.
Am I lying?
Tonali came on and immediately increased the levels, and he brought the energy, the physicality, you know, the pass. He was trying to release Murphy down the line and stuff. It's like chalk and cheese. But is there something to say that where Tonali played a hard 60 minutes midweek, it would have been, you know, I mean, I disagree, but something it would be difficult for him to do the 60 minutes again 3 days after, given the 10-month absence. But also, if you're going to have him play for 60 minutes and take him off, say like the games, I don't know, maybe it's a draw at the time, right? And you take him off for 60 minutes and you bring Longstaff off and the levels immediately drop, it could have got sticky. Yeah, it could have got
targeted Longstaff, maybe. You don't know. Yeah.
But what I will say is that Tonali's been called up by the Italy squad, which means he's going to get a bit of game time.
Wow, has he? Straight away?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's not a bad thing because he's going to get more match fitness.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
As long as he don't get injured, he needs to start the very next game. He has to start the very next game. You know what I mean? So there's no excuses. There's no excuses after that. But yeah, obviously they've equalised now, and I don't know about you, but I feared the worst. I thought they're going to go on there and score again. And what I will say is that as much as Tottenham had 20 opportunities on our goal, I can't think of many great saves that Nick Pope had to make. He made the long ranger from I think Maddison, but really truly, I think where we camped in the on our edge of our box and we defended well, and some of it was Spurs' decision making as well. Let's be honest. They didn't really threaten Nick Pope like they should have. A better team would have put us away. Yeah. But
I think that's why we were fortunate. I think we were fortunate in terms of they were playing young Odebear up top, and he made some odd decisions, which comes with a young player who isn't mature. And for some reason, they went with Kulusevski in midfield. And they didn't start Bentancur. And I think if they'd started Bentancur, they would have had a more progressive player in the middle. Kulusevski would have been more of a threat on that left side, because there was one chance where they had it, and it's just like Odebear kind of watched the ball go past him. Whereas if he ran, he had a tap in the back.
This is it. Because let's be real,
You know
if they had Solanke or even Richarlison, a recognised striker, they put us away. Yeah, because so many times they fizzed it across the box and no one's there. The final ball, they were playing towards the midfield. But if they had a target man, it could have been a long day for us.
This was definitely a Solanke game. This would have suited him to a T, because it would have been like, oh, my team's put a pressure on yours. I'm just going to poach around the box. And he would have snapped up at least one goal. I'm almost certain of it. Yeah. So we are quite lucky that they didn't have a good central striker for that positions. And but it's just another weird game, really.
It's a weird game. It's a weird feeling because again, we haven't played well. But like I said, there's 7 points from 9. when we looked at the fixture list, I know AC popped at it. I want 9 points, but I think me and Jefferson was more realistic. We said 7 points is good for the first 3 games.
I gotta be ambitious, man. I want 9 points from 9.
But listen, we're in the top 4, top 5, I think it is, after 3 games. I know it's early doors, but we're undefeated, 2 wins out of 3. You know, it's considering what we've been through since the PSR, the debacle, and everything that's happened since then, which we'll get onto. We've done well. And you know,
just to flag it as well. Like you remember that Fabian Schär got the red card in the first game.
Exactly,
so we missed him as well. And I definitely realized how much we miss him when we don't play him, because we can't play up from the back properly.
That's it. It's a big.
The ball doesn't go.
Botman too.
It doesn't go. It sounds silly to say this, but the ball doesn't go directly forward. It goes sideways. And you almost like try to put the ball sideways and then go around the sides and then come back in the middle. It's so like weird. But like with Fabian Schär, you know what he does? He'd be like, first of all, he'd be like, I've got a bit of space. You give me too much space. All of a sudden he's in the centre half. Like or Fabian Schär's just like radar. I can see you in the distance, Joe Linton, and I'm gonna ping it to you. So we miss that versatility. And sometimes, like, you know, in a game against Tottenham, I feel like that was a missing piece where we could have hit them on the break a bit more and break the lines, because we only did it once, you know, with that Joe Linton pass. Other than that, how many other times did we break the lines? When this is the high line Tottenham, which is, you know, everyone knows that is the weak spot for Tottenham. You have to break those lines. Let the players run from the behind.
Suicidal high line. Listen, we exploited it well, because we had, other than the goal, we had opportunities where we hit them on the break, you know, and we could have put some more past them. So just quickly, who was your man of the match, AC? Sky gave it to Joe Linton, which was ludicrous, but who was your man of the match?
I'll probably give it to Barnes, to be honest. I think he played really well, and I think his goal was exceptional, and I think it's the goal that we needed. And but, you know, at the same time, I do want to highlight that Dan Burn was good as well. I know he had the own goal, so it almost like takes that credit away from him a bit, but he was stood at the back. And I do want to give acknowledgement to Krafth as well. We have to. I think he was really good. And I feel like not often does he get a shout out like that. And to be honest, let's face it, Shah's going to come back. Krafth is going to be dropped, let's be honest as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in 2 minds between Krafth and Tino, because I think, obviously, what you said about Emile Krafth, I think to come in, you know, he's 3rd choice right back. Yeah, he's probably 6th choice centre back. So to come in and play that right centre back role over the last few games, and this particular one, you know, I think he did very well. You know, he didn't really put a foot wrong. You know, and you know, he's part of that line in front of the keeper that defended very well. Tino, I thought I saw a different side of him yesterday, because I've been critical of him for the last few games.
I know you were worried about him, weren't you?
Yeah. But you know, he was pretty solid, and he was bombing forward when he could. He did a run, I think it was in the second half, when he skipped the man and kept on running, whatever. Like,
that's the Tino we know, boy.
Yeah, and he's using his recovery pace as well, which was good to see. And positionally, he was actually all right yesterday. So I think he had a very, very good game as well. So between those 2, Jefferson.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I think even own goal aside, I think Dan Burn was excellent. Made some crucial interceptions. I know we didn't win most of the aerial duels, but he won some. And big shout out to Krafth, because I think his performance level went up from what we've seen him in the last game. Tino, I think he's in a weird spot where he needs to put his game together. So I've seen him do well slightly defensively. I've seen him do well attacking. I want to see that in the same game, because actually in the first half, it was quite interesting. He wasn't defending very well. He wasn't tracking back. He was hanging around that midfield area. And I noticed Longstaff had to fill in a couple of times. and I was criticizing Lloyd Kelly, who kept running across to the other side, probably because he thinks I'm the one quick enough to do it. He probably didn't trust Krafth or Burn to get there. And I was like, what is this guy doing? But then I understood it's because Tino just wasn't coming back. I don't know what was going on there, but that's good teamwork anyway. People were filling in. So if he can put his game together in the same 90 minutes, I'll be really, really pleased with that.
I do want to highlight one thing, and I've been thinking about this, and the lack of service to our number one striker, Mr. Alexander Isak, it is concerning me. It's worrying, like how quiet he is. And don't get me wrong, he scored in that game.
Hit the post, hit the woodwork with that jink, that little body son off the ball, and then just jinked it. But yeah,
I feel like something needs to be done here because, you know, I did say in my bold predictions that this guy's gonna get 30 goals in all comps, right? But at the moment, I'm just like, I don't know if this is going to be possible right now. And it's maybe because I'm looking on the other side of the fence and I'm seeing like Haaland getting like 7 goals already, right? And this tally, this guy's claiming golden boot in the first few games already, right? But it's like Isak needs more better surface. This is why I'm kind of hoping that Tonali does become more of a first team starter. And, you know, because it's people like him are going to, you know, he's going to piece the ball together perfectly for Isak and create more opportunities where Isak can run in from behind as well. So I'm just hoping we can see those improvements.
Yeah, I've a couple of things. I think the service will come to Isak. I will say, as much as he's not getting a service, I think when he is getting the ball, his touch is letting him down a little bit. And we spoke about the run with Dragusin. If that was last season, he leaves him in his dust. Yeah. But I think where he's second think, you know, he's overthinking certain things. I think he's not really, something's not clicking really at the moment. And also I think he needs competition, because when Wilson gets back, Wilson comes back and he's going to be hungry. Yeah. And how are you going to be afraid to rotate them? So I think that will maybe put him a bit more battery in his back. And then, you know what I mean?
That's a really valid point, actually. And I'm quite glad you mentioned that, because we have to highlight it as well that so far, since we started the season, Isak's played 90 minutes every game.
That's it. Yeah.
Doesn't get taken off, which does concern me, because at least in the cup game with Forest, bring on a Sula for the last 10 minutes or something. This is my worry, because it's like, I don't know, man. It's just going to trigger me.
If Sula don't get game time against AFC Wimbledon, I'm telling you, that's the Mitchell signing, and Howe's going to be spiteful. Yeah. He's saying nah. Yeah. If he don't get a run out against AFC Wimbledon, something is seriously wrong. Yeah.
Because I feel like once. I know it's early in the season and such, but you are risking burning out Isak. Why is he playing 90 minutes for all these games?
Like, look how tight, because the game's so tight. Every game we play in, the game's so tight. So I don't think we can afford to. Don't get me wrong, if Wilson was there, he actually rested. But where the games are so tight, I don't think we can afford to. Because you know, Isak can create something out of nothing. So you know, but the rest will come as long as Wilson stays fit for 10 games. You know, the rest will come. But before we move on to the topic, I know Jefferson, you mentioned the way we're playing, it's reminiscent of Steve Bruce ball, right? So I'm just going to read a couple of stats out to you, which, you know, was floating around online. And it was from the Athletic piece from George Colkin, I think it was. And so in the first 2 home matches, we have averaged 27.8% possession, right? Now, granted, the first one, we had 10 men, but stats are stats, right? Passing accuracy, 74.3% possession, which is the lowest in the league, right? Lowest in the, considering the teams that are in this league, especially fighting the relegation, that is disgusting, right?
Lower than Everton.
Lower than Everton, right? Speaking of Everton, 65.6% possession accuracy in the opposition half. The only one that's got less is Everton, right?
Wow.
The only team.
Relegation form in terms of the way we're playing,
right?
In opposition half.
Yeah, attempted passes. They're obviously camped in our half. When we get to their half, we can't do nothing, right?
Yeah.
Attempted passes 930. Yeah, which is the lowest in the Prem. City have that almost in a game, right?
Wow.
So 930, lowest in the Prem. 691 passes completed, again lowest in the Prem. Now those stats are
horrific. A lot, man.
Yeah.
Just shows we don't have the ball.
These are facts people can't ignore. I want to hear what
we don't have the ball.
Say. What are people pleased with that? You know, the people that were at the game yesterday, were they pleased seeing us getting dominated once again? You know, I'm all for backing someone, but something has to be said. And it's not the way they're playing on the pitch is not Mitchell's fault. It's not
there's parking the bus and they're sleeping in it. Yeah, we are sleeping in the bus, right? we're not doing absolutely anything with that ball. It's like we're making hoofball. We get it and we pump it. The amount of time we pumped it long yesterday.
To no one every
I
time.
see Gordon pumping it, pumping it long to nobody, I see Bruno pumping it long to nobody. Damn, but bro, it was anyway.
But the thing is, though, that must be instructions from the manager. I'm sorry, but there's too many. I don't know, man. It winds me up a bit, and I feel like it's such a knife edge at the moment because let's say the alternative universe, if we lost that game, right? Honestly, I think the fans would have erupted because this whole situation with the transfer window as well, and no one as a fan base right now, we don't know where we're at now with the club. It's a bit of a weird moment. We have to say His Excellency turned up at the game as well. There was some tense vibes in that stadium. Let's face it, it was tense. It was tense. Eddie Howe looked tense.
You see the snapshot of His Excellency with
Mitchell and Eels.
Mitchell and Eels. He looked like
he's in the middle. He
looked like he gave them both barrels.
There's some stuff going on, man, and I feel like we're going to get into that transfer stuff because
let's get into it.
Before, I just wanted to ask AC a question. It was about the way we're playing is very, very predictable. So literally, as we called it out, is how it played out, and it's played the same in all 4 games we played this season. So I wanted to ask you because I think you're more in the loop of this stuff. Is there a chance? I'm trying to look at the positives and see, could this actually be systematic? Is there a chance this is instructions from Bunce after studying analytics of our energy levels, rare, and he's told how, look, don't. I've watched videos of you guys last season. At 15 minutes, pull the brakes on. You guys can't keep this up over the course of the game. Do you think that's something from the performance analyst, maybe because of the consistency, or
possibly? I think when we review all the different games, and I always go back to like the Forest game because when Willett got injured, that definitely was a turning point where we just like our energy just dropped because they swapped for Bruno coming on, and Bruno's not going to bomb forwards. That was a natural stop there. Obviously, there's the incident with the official in the Tottenham game, so it's quite weird to really analyze it properly. But I think you could be onto something because something has to give in terms of like performance. There's no way they're going to be running, chasing shadows like 100%. Like, this ain't FIFA, but even if it was playing FIFA, when you're pressing that run button, your stamina's going to get depleted, man. You have to sub your player at like half time, not 65 minutes. So yeah, it's a really interesting one. I want to see. But for me, the number one thing at the moment, I just want to see us control and just have the ball, man. Like, it's.
Do you think we'll get the more control as the games progress, right? So we've got Wolves and we've got Fulham next, right? Do you think as we get fitter, as Tonali's introduced, do you think we've got what we might be the starting front 3 now of Barnes, Isak, and Gordon? Do you think we're going to see a change now? So more possession in midfield, more control of games. I'm not saying we're going to dominate, but more control of games because the average possession, what we've got 27.8 cannot continue, right? So do you think things will change as the season progresses, or do you think it's strictly this is Eddie Howe and nothing's going to change?
To be honest, there's several ways of looking at this. I think the one of the ways you're going to have to change the way we control games is you got to change the system of this formation. I say this every week, man, about formation to a point I'm sick of it. And people probably like don't want to hear me talk about formation. But when you got 3 man in midfield, now Tonali is definitely a better improvement on Longstaff to hold the ball. And him and Bruno, they can hold the ball relatively well. But these oppositions, man, they know to overload our midfield. They put 4 man in midfield to overtake and then straight away like pushing on Bruno and don't give room to Bruno. If you check it, and we probably check the stats, how many fouls does Bruno draw at the moment? Because he's constantly getting put down and constantly being pressured on. And when that happens, we get the free kick and stuff like that. Okay, fair enough. But in my eyes, I feel like we're losing that midfield because it proves that the opposition are putting so much pressure on us. We can't release the ball. We might have a free kick, but the turnovers happen so quickly the other side gets the ball. Now, I'm already predicting with the Wolves side, Wolves are going to be very gun-ho. It's an away game. They're going to come at us It's going to be end to end. We're not going to see control in that game. So
we're not, but I think that'll be. Remember what we did at home to them last season? We sat back and we hit them. We hit them on the break and stuff. You know, force them to come at us with the ball, right? So we're probably going to do that against Wolves this time, right? But I like to see when we do get the ball, not just pump it long, have a bit more control, be comfortable with the ball. I expect to see an improvement in that respect.
Yeah.
Don't expect to dominate possession, but just be a bit more careful with the ball. Yeah, don't always just invite pressure on. It just doesn't make sense.
The improvement could be that when Shah comes back, it adds a little bit more something to our play, and maybe we might realize he was the missing piece to this whole thing because it starts from the back. But
even without the ball, like you said, AC, with 3 in the midfield, how many times we see it on transitions when we lose the ball, one pass, it splits them all. It goes straight through to the striker and they're in on goal. So how many times you have to see that before you know, I need a deep line midfielder, whether it's behind them or whatever, to stop that. But it's the same thing. So
all right. So let's switch gears, right? Because obviously going into the game, the transfer deadline had passed, and we knew that we didn't make any marquee signings. We all know who was after Mark Gahey. Didn't happen, and no one else came in on deadline day. We made some stupid bid for Elanga last minute, 50 million, including Almiron. I genuinely believe if we offered 40 and no Almiron, they might have taken it because they just thought you're taking a piss with adding Miggy to it. But okay, so listen. We're all very disappointed that no one came in, right? And you know the whole Mark Gahey saga. Now, there's been a lot of finger pointing about who's to blame for this. There's a story in, I think it was Craig Hope put the story in about what's going on behind the scenes. Amanda Meda being pushed out by Darren Eales and stuff like that. But I'll start with you, Jefferson. Like, what are your thoughts about how the whole transfer deadline saga played out, and who does the buck stop with, in your opinion?
Well, ultimately, what's played out this past week with the week before with the transfer deadline is it's completely split the fan base. And as you guys saw, and I think actually you guys were also on the receiving end of stupid comments on social media. Do you know what I mean? People getting brave, people swearing at me and stuff like that. Crazy. What's wrong with you people?
What was their name again?
The same team.
Julie.
Oh, that
Calm
Julie.
down, Julie. Calm down.
We all support the same bloody team, man. Calm down. This is what I'm saying. The behavior is not right, man. It's like a cult. You say something, bam! They're on you, boy. They're on you. You think it's their dad, their uncle, their cousin, or something. So I just
Uncle
wanted to
Eddie.
get that out there. Jesus in heaven. You know, sort your lot's head out. And all these stupid comments of, yeah, you're playing Football Manager and all this. Shut up. Because we know what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about. We know about football, innit? Yeah? I just thought, let me put that out there.
Yeah.
In terms of what's gone on here is very, very evident. We know about Paul Mitchell and his history, building other clubs, transforming Southampton from a newly promoted side essentially into a side that qualified for the Europa League, finished 6th, being able to sign players like Virgil van Dijk, Dusan Tadic, right? Those kind of players, Sadio Mane. Yeah, he's then gone to Spurs. I could reel off names, but he signed Dele Alli, right? So British player, but he also signed Heung-min Son. So he's got this history of being able to identify sort of foreign talents. And then what's happened at sort of RB Leipzig, Monaco speaks for itself. So the caliber of a director of Paul Mitchell, we should be getting on our hands and knees and saying, thank you very much. God has delivered for us. Okay, so when you're looking at the caliber of the manager and the director of football, it's chalk and cheese in terms of what they've achieved in the game. So that's from a respect standpoint. So tell me how paying 65 million plus 5 million in add-on, so that's 70 million total, fits the blueprint for Paul Mitchell when none of the players he signed have amassed any of that kind of total. And I know people say inflation and all this. No. That does not fit his MO. So where is that coming from? People have to see the political aspects, that he's the new person coming in, so he has to work and get on with the head coach, because far often when these changes happen, the relationships can become fractious. But at the end of the day, it's very evident we're trying to transform the club from within and follow what's known as the European model. So you have the sport directive, sitting above the head coach. So respectfully, the head coach is meant to say, I want XYZ profile of players. Let's just go centre back. I want an athletic centre back with pace who's got really good stats for interceptions. He's not asking for a specific player. Director of football goes to his data and analytics teams, comes back with a list of 3 or 5 players and said, look, watch the tapes. Here's some players. What do you think? You do not just stick with one player for 3 or 4 weeks.
And that's the thing. Like, you make a good point, because the whole Mark Gray, because we were linked to Malik Chow, right? Now that to me was more of a Paul Mitchell, that would fit the Paul Mitchell.
That felt like Paul Mitchell, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because that was low key before that news come out.
Right.
Did you know who Malik Chow was?
Right.
No. It was
cheaper
undercover.
As well. A lot cheaper. And not English, right? But then we've suddenly switched after a tournament, international tournament, we've suddenly switched to an English centre back with Premier League experience, yeah, who fits the Eddie Howe mold, right? Now, my thing is that, all right, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But
he's a great player. Mark Gahey's a great player, by the way. Yeah.
But we saw, why did that 3 of us and many other people could see the play from Palace, right? They kept on moving the goalposts, right? So why is it after, I don't know, 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, yeah, we should have pulled out and said, you know what? We're going to see alternative options. Now, I believe Paul Mitchell, like you said, gave him a list of options, including Malik Chow, and he said, no, it's Guehi or nobody, right? So Mitchell said, all right, then, I'll get you Guehi. Now, apparently Mitchell's pissed off that Parish had moved the goalpost last minute, but let's be honest. From he played Guehi on the Tuesday in the League Cup, right? And the other centre-back that they bought got injured, right? There was no way he was going to sell this brother to Newcastle. Never mind the fact that we tried to poach Dougie Freeman at the beginning of the window, and he didn't like that, right? So what makes you think they're going to play ball? They were always going to leave it to the last minute and say, deal's off. Why is it that we could see it and they couldn't? Now, I don't understand why Eels and Mitchell are taking the brunt of this, because they've backed Eddie. They've offered 70 million for a player that's worth 50, right? And they've stuck with him. I believe Eddie's cool, him or nobody. They've tried their best to get him, and it hasn't happened, and he's now left us in the lurch, right? We also know, because we failed to get a right wing as well, and we also know about Eddie's blind loyalty to players. Never really wanted to lose Mickey, right? Obviously, he loves Murphy, whatever. We know that he's very loyal to his existing squad because what they've done for him to this point. That's not Mitchell's ammo, bro. That's not, Mitchell wasn't brought in to be loyal. Yeah? He was brought in to scout young players, young promising players at a decent price and get them through the door. But what can he work with? If my man telling me, no, I want this guy who's Premier League proven at any cost, it makes no sense. So go on to it.
No. I just want to say that I know, I completely agree with you both. And the one thing that people are just not realizing, or they're forgetting, they're being so short-sighted to this. Not too long ago, Eddie Howe fell out with Dan Ashworth, right? Dan Ashworth is a very good sporting director as well. Let's not get it twisted, right? I know the fan base took the mick out of him, saying that he's cash worth, and don't get me wrong, the email stuff that he did with Man United, it's all dirty work, and we don't like that. But the fact is that when Ashworth came in, there was definitely power struggles in there because Eddie Howe wanted full control. To a point, Eddie Howe employed his nephew in the scouting system, right? His nephew is in the scouting system for Newcastle United.
Yeah.
His nephew. How much control do you want? So you got Dan Ashworth now basically saying that I can't work in this position. Like, I'm trying to do my job and you're not letting me do my job. And obviously conflicts must have happened. I'm hoping one day we hear a lot more about what happened behind the scenes. But now we've got Paul Mitchell coming in, and, you know, let's face it, Paul Mitchell was a very PIF assignment there to come in and to be like, look, I want you to come in to do this job for this club. I'm going to pay you handsomely. You do what you want. And obviously, to a certain extent, like you said, D-Man, I think the starting of this is like, you know, you want to get to have a good relationship with Eddie Howe. You also don't want to come in and be like brutal force, just like, I'm not listening to what you're saying. It's like, because one of the things that Mitchell did say in his interview when he first came across to Newcastle is like, you know, he sees the efforts and talents of Eddie Howe with his coaching material. It's like, this is actually going to be a really good model because I can bring these players in for you. Your coaching mentality and mentoring is going to be good for these players and embed them into the team, etc. And to be honest, like, that's a very good coup. I would love that because I think it could work. Eddie Howe is good at coaching like that. And many times I do say it, and we have to take our minds back of like, the Joe Linton we see today would not be like Joe Linton if it wasn't for Eddie Howe. Hands down, we have to say it. He did a very good job excelling that. But
he does improve players, yeah. But
and Gordon as well.
But
He's
the thing is, it's clearly that Eddie Howe had his mind on a particular target, which is Mark Gahey, and just wants that. And now there's obviously press conferences where Eddie Howe's just like, yeah, we want to get players in. We want to make sure it's the right players only. I want to bring on the right players. And already that was a hint of like, my guy's being stubborn. He ain't going to bring in any other player.
Right.
And he doesn't want to take a gamble as well.
You know
he just wants to bring in what he knows and what he thinks in that sense. And then,
but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with, you know, having your preferred option. And if you want to say it's him or nobody, then fair enough. But that means you're putting extra pressure on yourself. Now that we haven't got him, you have to make this work with what you've got. Yeah, because we had the opportunity to get someone cheaper and we haven't. So if God forbid Shea gets injured, yeah, there's no complaints. You better make it work, right? I will judge Mitchell in the January transfer window and the summer transfer window when he's got his feet under the desk properly. He's been there 2 months. That's no time, bro. I will judge him on the next couple of windows, and if it's the same situation, then I'll say, you know what, maybe he is to blame in this. But I will say with Darren Eales now, I've said it, I've heard it on another podcast, but I've always been thinking this. It's all good you drinking with the fans and doing these chants and whatever. You need to get shit done, yeah? Because there's only so long they'll put up with this. Yeah, he's one of the guys. Because remember, Mike Ashley did that a couple of times when he first came. And look how they turned on him. Yeah, rightly so. So we need to see some tangible evidence that you're getting things done. I know you're doing commercial deals, whatever, but I'm not having this PSR talk about hindering us again because this
we've got money. Stop saying we ain't got money. These people, man.
We're offering 70 million for a player, but we're hindered by PSR. Why is it that every team in the Premier is strengthening in some way, shape, or form, apart from us, because we're hindered by PSR? That's right.
And also that money for Gahey, the rumor was that like we were willing to offer like put 50 or 60 up front. Like up front.
We were looking to put 50 or 60 for Elanga on the last day of the window. We've got money.
Guys, I think the fan base have to wake up. There is a ticking time clock. Now, for starters, I'm not accepting Barnes and Tonali and Hall as new signings. I'm not. We've started to see the frustrations of some of our better players. Again, I'll bring up that example of Isak was really frustrated at Longstaff last week. And I saw he was frustrated again a bit yesterday. And I'm sure Bruno got annoyed last season when he had at times, obviously it's not his fault, but Miley and Longstaff either side him, and he's doing all the running, killing himself out here because we had a shocking window last year as well. So these players are not going to want to waste their careers fighting for 6th and 7th when they're Champions League quality players. So getting in the Champions League is imperative on the pitch and off the pitch. On the pitch, because we need to keep our best players that we've named, who are all foreign mostly, by the way. We need to keep those players, but also add to their quality to take their workload off them. Otherwise, we're never truly going to progress from, you know, what was that Ashley and sort of Bruce era. We're sort of clinging on with some of those players we still have in the squad. The other thing is off the pitch. So, for example, Villa getting Champions League last season, they're going to reap the benefits this season and next season because they're going to get 40 million extra than us next season. So that's 40 more million they can spend next season. So every time fans are like, oh, don't worry, back the manager, we'll just keep moving, we'll keep moving. Listen, we've got players out of contract in 2025. So we need to be bringing the squad age down. So at the very minimum, with that in mind, we should have brought in players for that alone. because we can't keep extending contracts to older players. We've seen it with Dummett and Richie and all this. We can't keep doing it, guys.
Remember when
You know,
failing to qualify for Europe didn't hinder us, wasn't going to hinder us in the transfer market. Remember that? And how players want to come to play for Eddie Howe. Remember that? I remember all of that talk, and I told people, listen, we are going to suffer because we failed to nail it in the last 3 games of the season. We failed. Yeah, we failed miserably, and we had to rely on a drunk Man City to beat Man United in the FA Cup. Yeah, and it never happened. Yeah,
he should have been sacked. Unfortunately, I think it goes in 2 ways. Man City win the cup, despite a 7th place finish, we qualify for Europe Conference League. Fine. Objective met. It's a 3rd-tier competition, but objective met. The minute City won the cup final and we didn't qualify for Europe, he should have been fired, because that's Man United. Because the difference with Howe and another coach is, let's imagine we didn't have Europe. Well, we don't have Europe. Imagine if we got Mancini in, or someone of a higher caliber. Despite not having Europe, we would be able to pull players in based on the manager's caliber alone, if that makes sense. Eddie Howe doesn't have that pull, and this is why I'm very shocked. Then he's not allowed Mitchell to be resourceful and say, "Hey, look, I've got this talent from Brazil for you. I've got this talent from Belgium or Austria or whatever. It's only going to cost us 20 million or 15 million." Do you see what I'm saying? I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Listen,
because Eddie Howe, he's at a point where he's just like. Because I heard him say things about, at this particular point, it gets harder because you want particular quality coming into the team. This is how he's talking.
But he signed Lloyd Kelly. Yeah, not saying he's a bad player, but you signed Lloyd Kelly.
This is the thing, and I feel like, oh man, and I do wonder sometimes, like when we were after the centre back, we was after the Tosin, weren't we? Tosin. Him. Yeah, and he went to Chelsea and stuff like that, and I do wonder if we did sign him, like would I wouldn't have gone on better? You know, obviously that centre back would have been good, but low key probably could be avoided him anyway. But I think
what happens if Pope gets injured? By the way, because you don't trust Oddy.
Don't bring me there, because I know you're going.
Dubravka again. It will be Dubravka again.
It's John Ruddy.
But the thing is, though, like we're not done on this transfer talk. People listen to the show, man. We're not done because there's extra layers to this. Because in the last week to the deadline, the transfer window, I'm hearing about we want to sign James Trafford,
who can't get ahead of Rich.
Man got packed out this weekend. I don't want to see him near my club. Do you hear me? I don't want to see him in a Newcastle shirt. Yeah, what's his name? Andreas Weimann. Bruv, that guy's what, 35, 36? He packed him out nicely. Jesus.
Trafford.
Yeah. James Trafford.
Obviously, like we said, the transfer deadline is done, right? So we've seen what business every other club's done, right? And we did our predictions before, right? So
here we go.
Can you not remember your top 4 predictions?
This is where I'm going to get scolded. Anyway, I'll go first. I remember my prediction. I said we're going to finish 3rd. Yeah, I'm going to have to take that back. Yeah, I'm going to have to get my refund on that prediction. Have my receipt in. Yeah.
Because Man United 4th, us 5th. I'm taking.
When I did say 3rd, I was thinking that because I remember I did say you might as well laugh at me. I was like, no. We'll do some transfer business. We'll be fine, because at the time I was thinking that we hold on to our core players, which we have done, and that has been successful. We have cut down core players, but I was hoping for 2-3 good signings in here to fill some certain gaps, especially the right wing, man. Especially the right wing. And it really upsets me when I see Liverpool sign Chiesa, and I'm like, anyway. So
12 million, bro.
Finishing 3rd for me at the moment. I don't know, man. I don't know, because
you don't know. We ain't getting that, bro.
Bro, we'll be lucky to get 7th. Honestly, I think we will drop off.
Wait.
We will drop off.
Who's your top 4 then? Your revised top 4?
I still with the fact that I think Arsenal are going to win it. Man City will come 2nd. But actually, I've been thinking about this a little bit. Liverpool look good, man. And I think if they keep going, this is going to be a surprise this season. We might even see like Liverpool come second, Man City could drop to third. But Haaland is still on form. But anyway, I think we're talking more about the fourth place. I think fourth place at the moment, I think, though I don't like saying it, I can see Chelsea doing something, because I think this team's going to click a little bit. And they brought so many players, guys. Like, it's unfair. Honestly, it's unfair. And I can see them doing it. I'm not so worried about. I don't think Villa will. I think Villa will drop down a bit, and I think Tottenham will drop down a bit as well. But you're looking at Chelsea coming up.
I had Arsenal to win it, City second, Liverpool third, and Newcastle fourth. So you can take Newcastle out of fourth place already, right? So, like UAC, I think that's going to be taken by Chelsea. If they can sort that defense out, I think they're going to be a problem. You see what they did to Wolves last week. Obviously, they dropped points to Palace, but they should have beaten Palace. I think they're going to click, and I think they're going to get the full place. I think third. I actually think third's going to be Arsenal. I've changed. I think they're going to drop a few.
You think Liverpool's
surprising points? I think Liverpool's going to come second, but obviously Liverpool bought Chiesa. But that's all they've done. I know they've got Mamadashvili, but he's not coming into the following season.
They don't need any other players, though. Do you see how good their squad is?
I don't know. Jota gets injured.
Listen to me.
Diaz is a bit erratic, and then all of a sudden,
you know what? You make a good point.
Darwin Núñez is not scoring, and then all of a sudden, you're relying on one player to score.
Let me change it. Let me change it. Look at
the midfield. There's no goal-scoring midfielders in that team.
Let me change it back.
Let me and D-Man cook here, because I don't think you saw that game yesterday, Man United. I don't think you watched that game.
No. That's the reason why.
Salah is on something, right?
No, Salah's on stuff. He is.
Right? He's on stuff.
He's one man.
But I'm sorry. Diaz's second goal finish, I'm sorry, that's like goal of the month already.
Yeah, but you still
he's
think
erratic though.
But you still think about they've still got Trent, they've still got Van Dijk, they've still got the best keeper in the Prem. Like they've got a base there, right? Obviously the midfield is a bit with Gravenberch. He's playing very well at the moment. Yeah. I'm not sure.
But he's good though, man.
He did do good, but remember it's 3 games in it. So they're going to have different tests.
Casemiro's like finish, man.
Enzo's a more natural defensive
midfielder.
I'm going to say Liverpool third, Arsenal second, City first. What I will say is though, all these people that were predicting Manchester United fourth,
that's
talk to me now, innit? Yeah, because I told everyone that team is dead.
However,
they're 14th at the moment.
Situation with us, I think potentially if Man United get a new manager in, which they probably will, in probably October, November time, they could make a push because there's always the new manager bounce, and they do have some talented players in there.
Well, that's it. I'm basing on Ten Hag staying. Because remember, for them to get rid of him, they've now got rid of all their backroom stuff. He's got his own backroom staff in. Yeah, he's bought what? 8 old ex-players that he's worked with, whatever. This is now his squad.
116 million he spent in 2.5.
This is his squad. So they can't. It would look bad if they fire him after they just extended his contract or whatever it is in the summer. After fans were, writing to Ineos for him to stay and that, they've got to give him a bit more time, bro. So
that's what I'm saying. November time, I think, because
they're still dead.
Probably would have been about 12 games by that point potentially.
They're not making top 4. They're dead.
Thing is, people are not realizing that Man United have already put a contingency plan in place.
Van
Nistelrooy's there. He will step in and become manager.
It's still not going to be enough because that team is dead. Rashford dead. Yeah, Højlund not good enough. Mason Mount dead. Right, Casemiro dead. Right.
The fans were booing Rashford yesterday. They were booing Rashford.
Oh no, bro. Their keeper dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Mainoo got exposed yesterday. He got exposed. However, I think Ugarte will give them more balance in the midfield.
Oh yeah, he would improve
because that will give Mainoo more freedom to get forward. So give it some time, but they're definitely not finishing top 4, and I definitely got that one wrong.
Who's your top 4, Jeff? Your revised top 4?
It's a difficult one with Arsenal because I still think Arsenal could do it. I still think there's something in me about City where, don't get me wrong, Haaland will score goals and stuff like that. It will be interesting to see how Foden plays. the impact of Gundogan coming back and all of that stuff. But I feel there's something there mentally where they're a bit spent mentally. Like there's only so much winning you can do. It's very, very hard to stay at the top. Depends how their Champions League campaign goes. If they go out, they'll win the Premier League. So it's hard to call. But I would say I'm still going to stick with Arsenal to win. City second, Liverpool third. I'm split between Chelsea finishing fourth because, as we saw, they drew yesterday. It's like you get hyped with them against Wolves and then they drew. So it's like a lot of people lost money on Chelsea yesterday. A lot of people
including
betting on them
myself.
to win.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think people are underestimating Villa, you know, because Villa have got, is it 2 wins out of 3 as well? And people are only thinking about Watkins, but that Duran has already popped up with a couple of goals.
Yeah, they got strength
and they've got Emi Buendia to come back in the side when he gets fit, and he's a very good player, Emi Buendia. They've got a good squad, Villa. I know that impact them.
I'm going to ask you a question now. This is like a hot topic that I've been thinking about, and some people say on social media, but like teams like Villa and Tottenham, they're almost like the same category as us. There's this category of teams that we are all similar, right? Let's be honest. We are in that category of like the Villa, the Tottenham, and us. Do you think Villa at the moment have a better squad than us?
Squad, yes. Starting 11, no.
Interesting. What do you about Jefferson?
Yeah, I think they've got a better squad, and I think they're obviously it's helped that their academy is better as well. So they can supplement their team with really good academy players that come through as well that they've got. That's a disadvantage that we have.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about it, and I feel like they've got better squad depth than us, and 100%. Like they do. But
Jacob Ramsey would walk in our team over Longstaff.
But
when we walking over Tonali though, our strongest 11. That's the thing. If you put your strongest 11, so the midfield is Bruno, Joe Linton, and Tonali. It's just like who would you take out of those positions and replace with a Villa player? It's quite hard. I'll take Willock over Ramsey.
I mean, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Boubacar Kamara. It depends what formation we play and how we play. If we play with a DM, I would take Kamara because I think he's gonna be world class. I think he's such a top midfielder.
Well, displays Joe Linton.
Yeah.
Okay. No, fair enough. Yeah.
And I love J7 as well.
Yeah, but Watkins ain't displacing Isak, nor is Duran.
No,
I don't think. Who else do they got on the wing because they're not placing Gordon? I don't think
they got what's his name? Jamaican guy.
No, he's on the other side, isn't it? Leon Bailey. He can be the other side. Yeah, because he's better than Mickey and Murphy. Yeah.
Is it Morgan Rogers or does he play midfield? Morgan Rogers, attacking midfielder.
I think he's attacking midfield. I think he plays in midfield.
He looks a player, by the way.
Oh, 100%.
From Middlesbrough, 15 million.
Baller.
Wow.
I still take Willock over him though, but yeah, he's a baller.
That's good sporting director business. If I say it myself.
I think this has to be Willock's last season. In terms of if we keep getting he's got to go. Unfortunately, I love the boy, but we can't rely on someone that's going to play 15.
I keep him at all costs. I keep him at all costs.
But do you think? And another thing to think about here is that we didn't spend obviously much in the summer. Do you think we're going to spend in January?
One player.
You have to.
I think they'll just get one player in.
Because I've been thinking about this.
Depends.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I was thinking that I've been telling you guys about going through the rough to enter the smooth, and the rough could have been that like horrible summer transfer window. We're not playing great at the moment. This is the rough. It's not pretty. It's quite ugly, and who knows? There might be some defeats down the line. It could get really bad because when you start facing better opposition, they're just going to really overthrow us if we're going to be on 25% possession all game, right? But, with that money in the bank being there, let's say we do get a manager, and I mean, that manager's going to be like, right, I've got money raised, I'm good to go. So it's almost like, I'm not saying that how we'll get sacked before Christmas, but if it goes south, then I think he would have to, because it's going to be like we, have to save our season kind of thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't get, even if a manager was to come in, you don't typically get an overhaul in January, innit? So you're going to get
they're gonna
one,
have
maybe
to
two.
man.
No, but the thing is that
They're gonna
disrupts
have
the
to.
whole disrupts the whole squad. If you bring in like 4 or 5 man in January, that's like a Blackburn back in there or QPR kind of movements kind of thing. It just doesn't make sense, in it.
But they might say certain players that Howe favoured is deemed surplus to requirement. So
not 100%, but
you mentioned Joe Linton, or they might. How can I put it? The appointment they make
yeah,
might be more in line with the director of football. So they might say, "Oh, Joe Linton's 28. Well, how much is Joe Linton worth? How much could we get for him? 50 million? Do it, because that means they might have 1 or 2 players in mind they could get as
but this is it.
replacements
1
as
or
well.
2
They
players.
might sell Bruno.
Yeah, but you're not going to speak
don't
anything,
know.
regardless who comes in. I don't care who comes in. They're not selling Bruno or Isak in January.
No,
It's going to be in
they won't sell them.
They won't sell them in January.
So the deadwood, they might get rid of 1 or 2, but you can't bring in like 4 to 5 first-team players in January and expect it to work. You can't. It's never been done.
Let's just say, because I think there is a little bit of chess at play with this as well. I do think, I wouldn't go as far as to say I feel sorry for Hal, because I think he's dug his own hole, but I do think he's been played a little bit in terms of, we can see the writings on the wall in terms of, if you're getting a new manager in, who will probably be a bigger name, let's be real, what's the first question they're going to ask? Do I have money to spend? And a lot of them like to bring in players that can fit their system, that's going to be more amenable to their style of play. The players we have, for starters, cannot play football. They run.
No, that's true. That's true.
Again, it depends on the appointment. If we get a manager that likes more possession style football, we're in trouble, because they will have to get players in. So as you've seen it with Ten Hag, although it's not worked, he was thinking, I need to get players in that can pass on the back and play with the ball and stuff like that.
But this is it. But Ten Hag came in the summer. What manager do you know that's come in January and done a complete 4 or 5 players, brought them in with them and said, you know what?
Eddie Howe.
No. Yeah, but listen, the difference is we ain't going to be fighting relegation. Yeah, we're not going to be fighting relegation.
Yeah, but we might need to save our season. Off the pitch, we need to qualify for Europe, bruv. Even if it's Conference League.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, we do need to qualify for Europe. But the thing is, the acceptance will be from the manager is the expectation will be to improve results. If we're like, I don't know, 9th or 10th, right? Eddie Howe's got to be gone, right? But to bring the manager in, it's going to be a long-term thing. So yes, try to get us into European position, improve performances, but it's not going to be, you have to get from this position, because in the quality that's in this league, you have to get us to Europe. We just want to stop this downward spiral that we're on, right? But like I said, because we're not fighting relegation, when Thingy came in, Eddie Howe came in, he brought in 4 or 5 players, what it was, to save our season, to save literally capitulation. Yeah, we're not we won't be in danger of relegation. So he might be able to bring 2, maybe 3 players in, but if you bring 4 or 5 players in and try to change the whole for the 3 straight away, it's not going to work. Even when Eddie Howe came in, he said, I'm going to make a few tweaks that I can see until the end of the season, and that's when I'm going to start introducing my thing after that. Because to expect them to go from what they've been from Eddie Howe the last 3 years to then absorb something in the next 4 or 5 months, that's a dangerous game to play. Yeah. So I think if someone does come in, they'll bring 1 or 2 in. They will ask, do I have money to spend? Yes, you've got this amount to spend in January, but in the summer you have a lot more. Yeah, and you can put your own stamp on the team. I think that will be the ammo that they'll give the new manager. Again, we're not wishing Eddie Howe to be sacked, but we're saying if it does get to that,
if it happens, then
there's no hiding from it. The pressure is on Eddie Howe now, right? Because he's lost his cheerleaders, So
honestly, I feel like regardless, this is his last season. Regardless, because the England job's there, the whole England job's there. So I feel like no matter what happens here, if he gets sacked before Christmas or not, we make it to the end of the season with him. This is his last season, and I've been thinking about other things around this as well. I don't want to say it out loud, but I think this is Bruno's last season with us as well. So I think people, we just got to enjoy this ride at the moment a little bit, because things are going to change soon.
Isak's not there next season. I tell it for free. Isak's not there next season.
I can see,
unless we make Champions League, we have to make Champions League. I think, and the way Bruno was talking about winning a cup, I think that's him wanting to sign off and say, I've done my bit for you guys. That's what was coming through in that interview a little bit. He does love us, but he's not going to sacrifice his career for us.
He's
boys.
in the peak of his career now, so we have to see the fruits of his labor. So, but you know, if we're going to make the top four, they've got to contribute a hell of a lot in the next few months. So it's not just going to be, if you don't do it, then I'm off. Okay, you help us do what you can to get us there. Yeah, it's not just going to be on Eddie Howe. It's not just going to be the rest of the players. You're the star players. You're going to have to perform. So, you know, but we'll see.
No, I just want to add one more little thing. We mentioned it earlier, and I think it's something that we just have to acknowledge a little bit as well, that there's a lot of players coming out of contract next summer. We're talking about Shah. We're talking about Krafth. We're talking about Burn. These are essential players to our squad as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the season goes, because if I see like contract extension for Krafth, I'm going to go, that wasn't a smart move, because we're going to pay for that in the future, because it's going to be like
we're paying it with Miggy. Yeah,
it's going to be like Miggy's situation, because Miggy's just like, nah, man, I've got time left on my contract. I'm going to sit here till it finishes
and smile, and you're going to like it. Yeah,
and he's on that money. Whatever.
Came on with 2 minutes to go in the last couple of games. Yeah. I don't know what that's about.
Also,
they're trying to make a point. Yeah. You ain't no first choice out here, bro. Yeah.
And also, I want to flag it. I didn't realize this. Kelly is on 150 grand a week. Did you know that?
Brother, I saw that. Yeah. He's one of our top earners.
He's on more than double than Gordon at the moment.
You know, with on a free, and I think sometimes what can happen is you can have a signing on bonus. So we would have had to give him 3 million, 5 million, or you can have it absorbed into your salary. Yeah. Because that's what happened with Fraser. I think Fraser was on 70 or 80 grand. Same with Hendrick. Hendrick was on 60, 70 grand because they were free.
Now you imagine if you're Isak and you see that my man's earning more than me. Nah, bro.
Boy.
You either give me that new contract now or let me go in it.
What about Gordon? Gordon's on like something like 60 grand a week at the moment.
Yeah.
And they were haggling Joe Linton as well for weeks on end.
Yeah. So listen,
it's going to get interesting.
It's going to get interesting. But I think, you know what, we've gone a fair bit in. We've covered a lot today. Let's see what the comment section says on this one, because boy,
we covered a lot.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
3 players called up for England as well. Well done, Tino.
Yeah.
OP back in the squad as well.
Yeah.
And Trippier retiring.
Just don't get injured.
Retiring, and possibly Trippier might even leave our club as well.
Going to Turkey, or where was the other one?
Saudi. Yeah, so we'll see what transpires over the next couple of weeks. Maybe Miggy might leave as well, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Catch us on the audio, the Apple Podcast, and Spotify. And until next time, we're out. Peace.
Hey.
Salute.
From now, bro.
It should kick in. Yeah, it's good, man. Wet your whistle, Jefferson. We're going in.
Man's ready to roll, bro.